I became one of the top wine salesmen at a company of about 60 sales reps. And I did it using this one hack, this one little trick. And what made me actually think about this to tell you this story and give you the strategy that you can use in your business is last week I was in Dubai. And in Dubai, something super popular to do is what's called a desert safari. And what they do is they take you out into the desert. It's not very far from the actual city, so I don't know if we could really call it a desert, but there's sand dunes and camels and all that stuff all around. And they drive you out, they take you on the sand, they drive around like crazy, right? Shake you up a little bit, get you a bit excited, get your adrenaline pumping. And then what happens is you go to this village, this little village. The one I went to is called Desert Gate. And inside there, they have food, they go to market, entertainment, that sort of thing, right? And one of the activities there as part of your package was to go on a camel ride. Now, when you go on a camel ride, I'm sure you've seen it all over social media, people typically take selfies, they take pictures on the camels and things like that. Now, what happened when we arrived is there was someone with a camera. So you'd hop onto the camel, they'd take your photos, snap them up, right? Click, click, click. You do your little camel ride, just around, 30 meters, not, the videos and images looks like you're going on a safari out in the desert, miles on the camel, drinking water, sweating and hot. It's just a small loop, right? It's not what social media makes it out to be. But what happens is you get back, then there's a photographer waiting for you. He takes more photos. He tells you what poses to do. The sun's setting in the background. He knows all the angles, right? He gets some great photos. And then whatever, you go have dinner, maybe having some drinks, you're chatting with your friends, you're having a good time. And all of a sudden, this random man that you've never met before comes up to you with a stack of your photos. And they're all nicely framed inside like a cardboard, like picture frame kind of thing that opens up, right? And on the front it says Desert Gate, and it's kind of a memorabilia of the trip. And from there, he tries to sell you the photos. Now, how does he do it, right? Basically, he says, I'm going to do a special price for all of you, for all of the photos. And he takes out his notepad, a calculator, he makes some calculations, and then he comes back with the price. Now, when we were there, he quoted 1100 AED, which is the local currency in Dubai. It's roughly, how much is it? It's about 400 Australian dollars, so 300 US dollars for about 11 photos, right? Insanely expensive, right? Cost per photo is very high. But what he does when he says 1100, it anchors your mind up high. So then you negotiate with him naturally, because that's what they expect. They know a negotiation's coming. And what happens is ultimately you try to calculate how much you want to pay. Maybe you'd want to pay 100 AED. I think it's called dirhams, 100 dirhams, right? Roughly 30 US dollars, right? For all of them. But you don't want to pay, but because he's given you 1100, it seems rude and it's hard to go down to 100, right? So then what happens is you negotiate you come up with a higher price. You're like, okay, well maybe, I'll pay like 300 or 400 for them, right? 300 or 400. It's probably like 4 times above what you want to pay. But because he's anchored at 1100, it seems like there's a lot of value there. So then he's like, I can't do 400. Like, I can't do that. But how about my final price, whatever he says, 600 or 700. And then you negotiate back and forth. And typically you'd pay, say, 100 dirhams for it. But because he anchored you, he got you in he expanded your mind to a higher price. He was able to get more money out of people, right? By setting that high anchor. So the secret that I used to use in the selling wine is we'd call people up. They're not expecting our call, right? They might have purchased from us last month, or they might have purchased wine from us 2 years ago, right? Or they might never have purchased from us. They've just signed up to our list somehow. And basically, to get them to, once you get on the phone and you get through to them, the way you can increase the price of how much they spend is you say to them this question. You say, how much would you normally, just a casual question, you say, how much would you normally spend on a bottle of wine, right? Just how much would you normally spend? And then they give you a number. They're like, oh, like $9 per bottle, or $10, whatever it is. Let's just say it's $9. Well, then you say, oh, okay, nice. A lot of great wine in that price range. But how much would you spend if you found a really special bottle? Maybe it's for a special occasion. And then they'll say, oh, maybe I spend $15, or they say I spend $20, right? They give you their max amount that they spend per bottle. Now you've increased that price cap in their mind. You can start looking for wines in the $15 to $20 range. And of course, when you are selling to over the phone the way I was, we're selling it by the case. So minimum of 12 bottles per transaction. We can now look for, 12 bottles for $20 per bottle. That's going to be $240. Whereas opposed to before, they were looking at wines around $10. Does that make sense? They originally said they spend $10 on wine. Then you ask them, you stretch them by saying, how much more would you spend? What would you spend for a special bottle or a special occasion? You've expanded the price range. You can get $240 out of them now. Whereas before, their mindset was they're happy to spend $120, right? So you've doubled your conversion. And so by doing this and asking that question, how, expanding, giving a higher price point. So let's just say you are selling social media services. What you can do is you can talk about bigger numbers. You can expand the client's mind that you're pitching to by quoting or talking about higher price, right? You might talk about a specific client you're with and say, oh, they're paying me $20,000 per month or $10,000 per month. And then that way, when the person on the other end, you give them a price, so you give them $5,000 for your services, they've already been price anchored a lot higher, right? So that's my tip for today. This is how you can increase your average order value. That's just one tip. There's many ways to increase your average order value, but definitely by using the anchoring technique, you can make a lot more money, increase your sales, and increase your average order value. So I encourage you to think about how can you use the anchoring technique when negotiating, when selling, and how can you even use it when buying, right? You can reverse it. So say you're going in for a negotiation, you can give a very low price and it's going to anchor the sales person down to your low price, and now when they give you their higher price, it seems like a far gap, right? And they're going to work harder to either bring you up or come down towards you. So that's it for today. Hit that like button, leave a comment, let me know what area of your sales or life you can use this for, and I will see you on the next one. If you hit that subscribe button, you'll get notified when the next video gets released. So thank you and see you next time.